Have you ever bought a board game when your spouse said no? Have you ever won a game on an insane dice roll? Have you ever killed a dragon using only chopsticks? Have you ever paid an elf to watch your kids? Can you roll the dice while eating 3 Hot Pockets at the same time? Can you ride a panda across the plains of Doo-Dee-Dooey? Can you stop an evil wizard from destroying your village? Can you summon a creature to do your chores? Can you muster the strength to carry a group to victory? Can you be the chosen one all the way up to bedtime? Have you ever dared to say no and betray your alliance? Have you ever accused a friend of being a traitor when it was you all along? Well, we haven't done most of those things either, but we are willing to try. Join us as we explore the world of board gaming and all the crazy things that come with it. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast.
Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about board games and tabletop games. With me tonight, as always, is Matt.
Hey.
And Rob. What's going on?
Hello, everybody.
Nice. So Rob, your picture's not moving tonight. What's up with that?
Well, I am out of the area. I'm on vacation, but I am just so dedicated to this craft and to board games that I have told Mickey Mouse, I said, listen, Mickey, step aside. I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a big deal. We have 17 followers, all right, and they need to hear me.
Nice.
And so I stepped outside to make this call, and I'm roaming right now, so my bill's going to be ridiculous.
Oh my goodness. Is roaming still a thing?
I don't know, and I feel bad now that I said that because that's not true, but it just was funny.
Nice.
I don't think it's a thing.
It used to be a thing back in the day.
I have Sprint, and I'm unlimited everything.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh,
Hey,
bro, I love
I'm just glad we can hear you, man, since you're on Sprint.
Yeah.
I love Sprint.
So tonight the topic is going to be hidden roles games. This is episode 8 of the Epic Gaming Night Podcast.
No. This is episode 9.
Oh, okay. You gotta
Yeah,
count. You gotta count 0.
Yes.
And but first, before we get into our topic on hidden role games, we are going to talk about what we've been playing. So, do you guys want me to start?
I think that's the best way.
Nice. So I'm going to talk about a game that I actually played a while ago. It was all the way back at like my birthday game day, but I haven't got a chance to talk about this game yet, and it's pretty awesome. I want to talk about Cult Express. It is a little game where it's kind of like a programming game where you're like programming your movement, but you're all like train robbers. So you all are train robbers who start on like the back of the train on this like on the caboose, and like it's a 3D cardboard train that you're going across.
Yeah.
So basically each turn, everybody's playing their actions like depending on like there's a card that like shows like how the turn sets up, but most of the time you're playing your actions face up in a pile. Like everybody plays into the same pile, and then there'll be a certain number of cards during the round. But you don't actually move your characters until after you have placed every single player has placed all the cards for the round. So it's very interesting because like you're like, okay, because the cards are you can move left or right, so you can go towards the front of the train or towards the back of the train, or you can go up. So since it's a 3D train, you can actually get on like the roof of the train. Or you can grab like money off the ground, because there'll be like there's different like sacks and like gems and like briefcases and stuff like that you're trying to collect to gain points. Basically, whoever has the most money / points at the end of the game wins. And there's several ways you can go about doing that, but one of the main ways is by picking it up off the ground. You can punch another character. So if there's someone in the same train car as you can punch them. And you can also shoot your gun, which if there's a person in an adjacent train car, basically in line of sight, or like if they're on the roof, like all the way across the roof you have line of sight, you can shoot another character. It's kind of interesting because you start with a hand of like 6 cards or 5 cards or whatever, depending on the character that you have, and you're going to be playing these cards, trying to figure out the best order to play it in. But you're not exactly sure where everybody else is on the train. The first turn, you all start in the same place, but like as the game goes on, like you're all around the train, and you're like, is he in the same room as me? Should I try to punch him and grab his stuff? If I shoot my gun right now, will there actually be anybody there for me to hit? So you have to be paying attention to where other people are. And also, like, sometimes there's a tunnel during the round. So during the tunnel, like, everybody places a card face down. So you don't really know what they actually did that round. So it's like, did they stay in the same room as me? Did they move? Are they on the roof now? It's like very interesting. There's also a marshal card which lets you move. There's one little marshal meeple that moves in the train, and if he ends up in the same car as you, you have to like drop loot and like go up to the top of the train to try to escape the marshal, and he shoots you and stuff like that. Each time you shoot another character, that you get like a hit into your deck, and it makes your deck less efficient. So like next time you draw, you might draw some of those hit cards, and that's basically a card that does nothing for you. So you have less options on your turn. Overall, it's a really, really neat little fun light family game, and I think it's actually nominated for the Spiel des Jahres this year. So that's pretty awesome.
How do you think it would work with people with abnormally large hands?
I think the only problem, whoops, upside down. The only problem is like the trains, like the little meeples. There's not a whole lot of space in there.
Yeah.
But I think you'd be fine as long as you're careful. You just don't have. I mean, it's not like a timed game, so there's no reason to rush. But you have like these little 3D train cars, and then you have like the front of the train.
Oh yeah, that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colt Express, but like each train will tell you how many like bags and gems and stuff go in the car, and it's really cool because you have all the little meeple guys that are all different color with their little guns, so it's like the little Western train robber theme. So it's pretty awesome. I like it a lot, and there's also asymmetrical powers that each character has, so that makes it a lot of fun too.
All right.
But yeah, I know you missed the whole introduction, Matt, but what did you think of the game when we played it?
It was pretty good. I liked it because it was kind of like Robo Rally, and that you had to do the programming of your moves ahead of time. And it's one of those games where it's like it starts out fun and it's all like yeah, and then you're like, why did you do that?
Exactly. It's like
seriously, man, I could have won had you not just walked that way.
Yeah. Or you get to that point where it's like you realize that you've made a mistake, and you're like, oh my goodness, I thought I was going to be in the room with you, or I thought I was going to be here so I could pick up this thing, but I'm actually picking up things in a room where there's nothing there at all. So it's very interesting the way it works.
I also liked how the order placement worked. Like Robo Rally is just like, all right, man, you need 5 orders and you've got like a minute, go. And you're just like, nah, and you're just like throwing down cards in a haphazard manner. Whereas this was like, it goes around once and then it comes back around and then it goes around again, right?
Yeah.
Or is it like 2 loops and then backwards?
It depends. It totally depends on like the scenario for that round. So there's cards that say what you do each round. So sometimes like you could have 4 cards in a round. Sometimes you could have more. But it's kind of cool because the round could be like the different things are just place a card face up. Or if there's a tunnel, you place the card face down so people don't know where you are. Or there could be times when you place 2 cards in a row, so your character's going to move twice before the next character goes. And then there's also ones where it reverses the order. So everybody goes clockwise, and then it reverses the order, so one person's going to go twice, and then it goes back around. So you have to factor all that in with where everybody is on the board and try to figure out what's going on. It's very... It's light, but it's also thinky because you're trying to figure out what's going on. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. It adds like just a couple more layers.
Yeah,
too.
We played 5 players, which was utter chaos because it was just everybody shooting guns. Like you could you could hit people all the time because all you gotta do is just play the shoot gun. There's likely to be somebody you can hit with your gun. If you just shoot it one direction or the other, you're good.
That was what was funny. I think first round 2 people moved, 1 person went up, and then the 2 people who were just standing there just like shot their guns, and like the other people were immediately like, "Come on, man,
don't shoot me."
It's just like, ha.
When you shoot the gun in a direction, does it hit everybody?
No, it just hits one person. So normally you get to choose. Like there was a character that Phil played, and that person, if there was another person there, that character couldn't be chosen. Like it's like the prissy girl character or whatever. But yeah, you can't shoot her first if there's multiple characters there. If you punch, you can't punch her first. It's kind of interesting. That's one of the powers that one of the characters has. But there's all sorts of different things. Like there's one character that can like shoot up and like shoot the people above him, and then there's one character that can when he hits somebody, it moves them to the next car over, so it can just totally mess up their plans because they thought they were going to be in one room, but now they're in a completely different room. And there's one girl that when she punches, she also steals whatever they drop, which is OP, but it's all good.
That one.
But yeah, it's tons of fun, and it's I don't know if you heard me, Matt, but it's nominated for the Spiel des Jahres, so the Game of the Year in Germany. So
nice. Didn't even realize it was not from America.
I mean,
that doesn't necessarily mean it's not from America. The thing about the Spiel des Jahres is it has to be able to be produced in Germany. Like a German company has to be able to produce. That doesn't mean that it's that.
I thought it had to be like made in Germany.
No. And
I was like, okay.
Well, if like, and I don't necessarily know my Western European history, but when I'm thinking about Germany, I don't think of like train robberies and cowboys and Indians and stuff like that. So
good times.
But that's just me being a horrible person.
Nice.
That's okay.
So, Rob, you want to go next? I know you're super excited about yours.
Yes. So, I finally broke out Spectre Ops, and I am mad at myself for not bringing it out sooner.
Well, I mean, you knew it was an amazing game.
It is so amazing and like so nerve-wracking. I got really, really nervous. So, Spectre
how many people
Ops,
did you play with?
We played with 4. It was and I played with my wife and our 2 best friends. That's another couple, and so they all know me. And I'm the agent, and they're the hunters. And the whole goal is, if you're the agent, you have 40 turns to be able to complete 3 out of 4 objectives and escape without dying. And that's pretty much it if you're the agent. Now, the agent, some agents have special abilities, and the hunters have special abilities. Okay, so when we first started playing, the girls, my wife and our friend, they weren't necessarily so into it. But things immediately started changing, and they were like, we're going to kill you. We're going to get you. We're going to find you. Like, okay, we don't care to, now we care. And they tracked me down. Like, at the very beginning of the game, I was going back and forth just to mess with them, because they have some characters that have abilities where they can use a car as a motion sensor and find me. Or they had this one character named the Prophet, and his special ability is, I have to tell you exactly where I was 2 turns ago. And so I'm messing with them on purpose, like going back and forth, like literally just crossing the streets back and forth, and it's really bothering them. And so I finally, around turn 10, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to start my objectives, and I'm going to win. And after I completed my first objective, they didn't realize this. They didn't realize this because they didn't see me, but they had me cornered in like this corner of the board, in the bottom right-hand corner of the board. And for 4 turns, from turn 20 to turn 24, I did not move. My guy stayed right there. Now, I acted like I was moving, like I was looking around the board, and I was like moving my hand over my paper, because you can kind of, I guess, tell where people are if you see where they're marking on their paper. Okay, they're marking up there, so they're going to be in that area. So I was moving my hand all around my paper, trying to, no, I'm over here. No, I'm down here. And I'm looking at the board because my wife, she's like, no, he was just looking in that corner. He was looking in that corner. He's going to be over there.
So you're doing all the mind games.
Well, and then my wife's friend, she's like, no, Rob's just acting. He's not even doing that. He's probably over here. And then my friend Lee, he's just like, no, he's not acting. He's either here or he's right here. And Like there was a couple times where they pointed right onto the spot where I was. And so I got very tense, man. Like what started off as a funny ha-ha, like let's just try this out because I really want to play it, became this really tense game that like we all fell in love with. In fact, earlier our friends asked me, they're like, hey, do you guys want to play again tonight?
That's awesome.
And so and she's not a real big board gamer. You know, like she likes family games and things like that, but like games.
Did they want to mix up who was the agent, or?
Yeah. Somebody else wants to try it, and I want to try to be a hunter because I love the idea on this game where the agent has a separate sheet of paper, like where he knows where he is, and the hunters have no idea. It's just it makes it so cool once you find out where I am on the board. Like if I crossed your path and I have to put down a token saying this is where you would have last seen me, you know, they start to flip out like, okay, were you there? Did you do this? Where did you go from here? It felt like we were all playing Mission Impossible, and I was being chased by these people trying to track me down, like maybe not Mission Impossible, but like a spy game. Like it felt exactly what it was meant to be. It was very intense. We had a lot of fun. I highly recommend this game to anybody.
They said it's like
Letters of Whitechapel or anything.
It's
or any
like
type of
Metal Gear Solid, the board game, pretty much.
It really is. That's the best way to explain it because I like that video game.
Every time like they actually like spot you, you should have the little or the little noise or whatever.
Well, see, I ended up having to use like all of my powers because they beat me to a point where I had 1 life left. Like. I think I had 2 life left.
Did you get out?
Yeah, I got out.
That's awesome. So it was very close.
I think if we played again, I think I would still get out because like at the beginning of the game, I helped them more than I should have.
Yeah.
But once they got on it, they just started ripping me a new one. Like my wife took over half of my health, her alone. She just kept finding me and beating me. And just like punching me, and like her beast has got like this superpower where if he lands on your same space, just by landing on your space, he automatically hits you for 1. Then you get to do the combat as well. I mean, it's just like it was tough. It was so much fun though. Such a great game. So worth the money. Very, very happy that I bought it. And I finally played it, and I will be playing it a lot more.
And the miniatures look ridiculously amazing.
They really do. They did such a great job. It makes me want to paint the miniatures.
Yeah. If I had that game, I'd be like, paint time.
Yeah. So anyway, a lot of fun.
I think it's cool because it's like one of those hidden movement games, but it feels like it's like easier to jump into than some of them. Like I feel like
it really wasn't that difficult because we ended up. I've watched the Watch It Played by Rodney on YouTube, and so I was able to go over the rules with him comfortably.
For some reason,
they jumped into it and just started playing because the rules really aren't that hard.
Letters from Whitechapel isn't that hard, but it just feels like there's a lot of like weird, like complicated things, like the whole like movement phase where like the different people get to move like the different pawns and like you hide your things and stuff like that. It's like very complicated for like what it is, and that game seems like it's got a lot more like going on as far as like asymmetrical powers and cool like items you can play, but it seems like you could just jump into the game a lot easier, which seems awesome.
I think that it's harder to be the agent than it is to be the hunter because from a hunter's point of view, there's really only one thing you can do a turn. You can either move, or you can either do a power, or you can either do something else. I think the only time you get to do 2 things is when like you land on somebody and you get to fight them. Like that's it. But that's really it. Like you're kind of limited on your options. Whereas the agent, you know, you can set out traps and then you can set out decoys. Then are you going to run here and then you're going to try to set this off. So I think it's actually more difficult. So I would say the experienced gamer needs to be the agent first.
Right.
But the other people, they feel now like they can be the agent.
Yeah, once you understand the game, it's like, yeah, I'm going to sneak around, I'm going to do all these things.
So, would it be something that I, having never played the game, but having played Letters from Whitechapel, could jump in and be the agent?
My gosh.
I think you
against people who have also never played the game.
Yes, because you're starting to be a board gamer, and it's not really difficult. I mean,
I should just like look at the rule book and read through it first before doing anything.
Oh, and
like
that's
always.
another great thing about the game. The rule book is like 3 pages. It's so not intimidating at all.
Awesome.
Like, the rule book is not intimidating at all. It's very simple, and it's very direct and to the point. Here's what you do as X. Here's what you do as Y. And so, yes, you could easily pick up and be the agent. But being that it was my game, I also wanted to be the agent first, so that kind of helped into the factor that I was the agent first. So, but yeah, it wouldn't be a problem for anybody just to pick up and find out how you're the agent.
I thought it was pretty funny. I just went to see if it was like on the workshop for Tabletop Sim, and so I found it and was like, oh, hey, cool. So I started downloading it, and I was just looking at the comments for the mod. And Zanetrix was commented on there, and he's like, hey, man, great mod. He was like, I had so much fun playing this on stream, I ended up just buying a copy of it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, perfect.
Nice.
And that was like maybe 20-ish days ago. So
Yeah. That's awesome.
yeah.
It really is.
So, Matt, what have you been playing, man?
Man, Wiz War.
All you play is
Always.
Wiz War.
It's a good game. I can see how it might get a little bit boring after a certain amount of time, but there's just so many cards. Like you can just play with all the cards, and it's always going to be just a little bit different. And you can always set the board up differently and stuff.
The best part about it is when like a couple people like try to stop you from winning, and then you still win.
Or did that
I like
happen?
how you said a couple of people tried to stop you, but essentially I tried to stop you.
And Hector did a lot better job.
Hector, not only did Hector do a better job, but Hector was just like, I'm just gonna win. So he just like throws down some defensive stuff that ends up hindering you, and then goes for the win. And then you're trying to go for the win, and I'm trying to stop everybody from winning. And then AJ and Ryan are having a small slap fight, and I'm like, guys, no, seriously, Roy's about to win. It'll be like 2 turns. And then
You're like,
you
no,
end up
we just need to kill each other. It's okay.
You're like, I was like, okay, it'll be 2 turns minimum, and then you like dispelled something and then played like a movement card, and you were like 1, 2, 3, and then this game. And I was like, no.
I like that game.
I don't know. That game's it's
It's fun because
a lot
it's
of
like everybody always gets to like the edge of winning, and it's like, who do we stop? Where do we
Yeah.
stop them? Who do we stop?
I think that's why I like it, because I'm always like, I'm just the guy running around with a water bucket trying to put out fires everywhere, just hoping I'll get like just one advantage some point, and I'll be like, I can win now. Like that whole time, I was running around with 3 HP, like in the middle of like 3 wizards. Like, just no, hold, stop.
So to recap, Wiz War is the tactical wizards game where it's a bunch of like random cards and craziness, and you're trying to get treasures back to your home base. We talked about it several weeks ago.
Or murder wizards.
Nice.
Whatever your game plan might be. Treasures tend to be a bit easier to deal with than murder.
Did you enjoy the other game we played on Friday night? The Fire Rescue game?
What was the actual title? Me and AJ were talking about it, and I couldn't remember.
Flashpoint Fire Rescue.
Yes. All right, I got it right.
It's a cooperative like fireman game where you're trying to rescue people out of a burning building.
That's actually a really great game to intro people into co-op games.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was pretty fun. I mean, me personally, I found it to be a little too simple.
Yeah. I mean, it's very casual and family game-ish.
Yeah, and that's also just coming from playing like Twilight Imperium, a bunch of other things. So.
Oh my goodness, there's beeping.
It's okay. Rob's just driving somewhere.
I am actually.
He's gonna be the hazardousest person ever, because that's a word.
No. We're headed to downtown Disney World right now.
Nice.
But I'm still committed.
What was I gonna say? But yeah, it's really cool because it's like a good game that you can play like with your mom and dad, or play with. Like, I play it with the in-laws a whole bunch. So I mean, it's something that you can easily get anybody to play. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like as long as there's not even reading in the game, so you could easily walk young children through the game pretty easily, as long as they're good enough to understand rules and understand we don't just flip the board over just because we feel like it, or we don't smash the fireman with the fire truck. But
and understand advanced concepts like burning to death.
Yeah.
But no, it's a neat little game.
So we were playing on the advanced rules. There's actually simpler rules to the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like where the board is automatically set up, and like you don't have to get people to the ambulance. You just have to get them out of the building, and like there's no like fire truck, and like it's a lot simpler. I think you don't even play with the powers. Maybe I've never played the basic game because
it's already pretty basic.
So let's get all around. Cool. Rob disappeared.
Am I now 2 people again?
Cool. I wonder if he's gonna text me and see if. No, it's still fine. Huh?
It looks like he might be reconnecting. There he is.
Hey, I'm reconnecting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess with that, we can go ahead and get into our topic today, which is hidden role games. So who wants to tackle describing hidden role games? You want me to do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So a hidden role game is a game where normally like they can be simpler or even more complex, like as simple as like a werewolf game, or go all the way up to something as complex as Battlestar Galactica. But basically, the main concept is at the beginning of the game, each person is handed out a hidden card, and those cards will say whether you're loyal or you're a traitor, or whether you're human or a Cylon, or whether you're a villager or a werewolf. And there's kind of these hidden teams, and you don't necessarily know who's on the same team as you or who your adversaries are. And as you play the game, there are mechanics in the game to help you figure out who those people are, or when they start doing things that aren't quite right, you can discover that they were the traitor all along and they need to be exiled from Camelot, or whatever the game might be. Is there anything else you guys think you want to add? We can talk about specific mechanics, but they're very different depending on the game.
Yeah, I mean, it really does depend on the game. But no, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
So some examples of hidden role games are Werewolf is like this big, like the regular Werewolf is like this big party game that can go anywhere from like 10 to like 35 players. They play even more at like conventions. And basically everybody sits around and everybody's given a card, and there's actually a moderator that moderates and tells people to close their eyes and wake up at different times. And basically the werewolves are trying to kill off all the villagers, and the villagers are trying to figure out who the werewolves are and lynch them. So basically you have to take a vote to try to lynch the werewolves. And that's probably one of the most classic, or maybe even the first hidden role game that I can think of. I mean, there might be an older one, but it's either Mafia or Werewolf, which is basically the same game.
Yeah, it's the exact same game.
So, but yeah, and there's certain people who have like the seer so that they can look at specific people's cards, and then you have to try to actually explain that you're a character that can see people's things without being called out as a werewolf and saying that you're lying, you're not actually the seer, that sort of stuff. But there's all sorts of different things in that game. Another example is like Dead of Winter, where you have everybody has their own little hidden agendas that they have to do, but they're all still trying to save the colony from the zombie invasion. But there is normally a person who is the betrayer, who is actually trying to make everyone fail. So they're trying to like tank their morale, or tank, like, make sure everybody dies, or whatever they're trying to do to ruin the game for everybody else. And there's several other games that follow that sort of model.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other examples of hidden role games?
Battlestar Galactica. Forever known.
Yeah, Battlestar, or also The Resistance is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's a great hidden role game as well.
I think there's, Shadows over Camelot, and then Bang is technically a hidden role game.
Yeah.
So
Good Cop, Bad Cop is a hidden role game. There's also have you
Avalon.
guys? Yeah, Resistance, Avalon. Have you guys ever played Shadow Hunters?
I have not.
It's a Japanese hidden role game where there's people that are like werewolves and vampires, and then there's other guys who are like hunting against the werewolves and vampires, and there's different cards you can do to like figure out who the roles are, and you're going to different locations trying to attack each other. And there's also like neutral characters in that, so there's stuff that's kind of like the Tanner, but not really. There's ones that just try to get items and try to kill themselves off first or kill someone else, and there's all sorts of different things in that game. So that's a very interesting hidden role game, so I would suggest checking that one out if you get a chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So in hidden role games, do you like being the bad guys who have to hide your role and be like sneaky, or do you like being the good guys and trying to figure out who the people are and normally get your people to survive if it's the co-op style versions of these hidden role games?
I like to be the bad guy.
If I have to choose, I'd rather be the bad guy in the hidden role games. But if I'm not the bad guy, then I'm all out good guy, and I hate when people act like the bad guy when they're not the bad guy.
Oh yeah.
Like when we were playing that game, Shadows over Camelot, and there was that guy who I'm not going to mention his name was sitting right beside me, and he was playing so horribly. It was so obvious.
Oh my goodness, you sound like a robot, Rob.
The bad guy, even though you were the bad guy, Roy. Even after he revealed that he wasn't the bad guy, I still believed he was the bad guy. He was that bad. So I would rather be the bad guy because I believe I can do a good job at it.
Nice. Yeah, I think he looked a little bit more bad just because...
Sound funny? Is that why you're laughing?
Yes, you sounded a little bit like a robot, so I'm not sure if you're losing signal or what the deal is.
You're also starting to talk very
Disney World
slowly. Oh, that sounded better.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like when I'm the bad guy, like sometimes it's a little bit too easy. It depends on the game. Sometimes I get called out and like just get wrecked. But sometimes I can just wreck people. Like in Battlestar Galactica, every time I'm the Cylon, it's like it's not really fair. Like I feel like there's not even a challenge. Like the ship is going down, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
When we played Shadows over Camelot, it wasn't that close. There were times when I was sweating, and you guys are like, "Hey man, do this mission," and I'm like, "Nah, man, I gotta go over here now. This is more important." And just trying to lay mistrust on other people and try to show that I'm doing really good, and then maybe just doing a little bit of not so good, trying to throw a wrench into the plans. But that game was very close.
It was really close. In fact, we did something that allowed you to do your final turn to turn 2 white swords into black swords.
Basically, because y'all ended the game and you didn't find me out, you lost the game.
Yeah.
So I just basically need to make sure.
I still think it was the guy sitting beside me. He was that bad.
I mean, he just had different like concepts of what was good in the game than I did, and I was like, man, that's not a good idea, man. The things that you're doing, even when I'm a good guy, I don't know.
No, he was a great disguise for you. I mean, he really was.
Oh man.
But I also think it depends on the group that you're playing with as well. You know, if you're playing with a group of people that know you really well, it's hard to kind of mask your stuff because your friends can like read through you or see through you better.
Right.
You know, when you're trying to, you know, pull something over them rather than a random group of people.
Right.
So.
If it's like, oh man, he's been the spy before or the Cylon before, and we know how this goes, we know that they're good at it, then they're more likely to dig deeper into the situation and weed you out.
I think the thing that's really...
Anytime I play Battlestar Galactica, if you do anything to me, you're the Cylon. If you sneeze, you're the Cylon. If you get up and get a drink of water, you're the Cylon.
That's because
I don't trust anybody
in that game, even if there's no Cylon for like the random happenstance, that game's still very hard to
still
win.
the Cylon.
Yeah.
It is
I
really
don't know.
hard.
The thing that I think is really good about hit and roll games is like we all kind of said the bad guys, but at the same point the game is super fun on either side. It's just I think we all have a preference for just kind of sitting back and watching everybody else's well-laid plans go awry without even necessarily having to do things.
Just to be clear, I would much rather be the good guy. Like in Battlestar Galactica, I want to be the good guy because I want to win as the harder thing. Like I want the humans to win. Even if I'm the Cylon, I'm like, man, this is too easy. Like the game is helping me win. Like I need to be the humans, so it's a struggle the entire time. And when we do it, the victory is that much sweeter. Or like, I mean, in Werewolf, I like to be a good guy that knows things. If I'm just a villager or someone that just sits there with no information, people are probably just going to kill me anyway because they're like, Roy, he's not talking. He normally knows things or figures things out. And I'm like, I don't know anything. So like, just kill him. We'll just be safer. Just kill him. So
in Werewolf, I'd actually prefer to be the bad guy too because you just can sow disinformation a lot easier because it's like you know exactly what's going on and you're like, hey, time to start messing with people. It's so good. I don't know. Like I understand that, like that where you're coming from though. Like I would love to just win a game of Dead of Winter, no matter what side.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah.
Nice. Okay, so what strategies do you use for each side of hidden role games? I know you touched on, Rob, if anybody ever says anything to you, they've got to be the bad guy, or if they screw you over in any way. Because good people wouldn't do that.
Yeah. No, like, if most of the time when I'm the bad guy, I actually try to be everybody's best friend. So that way, when it's revealed I'm the bad guy, it's that much sweeter. Like, the times when I played Dead of Winter that I'm the traitor, I help you out. I am the best team player. And so the very last mission, like, okay, the very last turn, that's when I screw everybody over. And so my strategy usually, if I'm the bad guy, I don't try to make myself obvious. I like to hide it as long as possible because I just think it makes it that much sweeter once it's revealed that, oh my gosh, this guy who's been doing all this great stuff is really this evil mastermind. And then if I'm the good guy, if I know I'm a good guy, I'm mean because I'm like, I know I'm good. Remember when we were playing the Resistance, Roy, and you got mad because I was the spy, but I busted you out?
Yeah.
And you were like, oh my gosh, you're the spy. That's not fair. This is ridiculous. I get that way whenever I'm the good guys because, like, I know I'm the good guy. So I'm the good guy. Let's just go. Let's just win. Like,
let's
what
do
are you
this.
guys doing? You guys are being stupid.
That's the.
Oh my goodness. So Rob, we have figured out that you're the Cylon.
Really nice and friendly. I'm probably bad.
Rob, we figured out that you're the Cylon, and
is my voice changing?
We might have to throw you out the airlock, man.
It does this really cool thing, like. On the really old voicemail machines that still use tapes, occasionally when they would start to lose power, slowly down, and it's like, yay! And that's what you're doing, but you're also turning into a robot, which is pretty sweet as well.
Well, can you guys hear me clear now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sound good now?
For some reason, like, I guess you were just losing signal at some points. So.
Well, I'm in Disney World. I'm going in and out, and so. You know, there's so many like electronics and stuff.
Man, you can go do things.
You can go do things, man. We're about to throw you out the airlock.
You've carried me for 40 minutes. I think I can manage.
But I feel bad. I feel.
No, man.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll have to tell us about how your Disney trip went when you come back, and we will talk about. Me and Matt will talk about our.
We're playing
Forbidden Stars?
Yeah, when I get back, we're playing Forbidden Stars.
Nice.
I will be there Friday night.
Oh, man. I need to make sure nobody shows up, because that's only a 4-player game.
I can bring Spectre Ops or some other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be that, because that's a 4.5-hour game, but yeah, I will be there Friday night.
Okie doke, man.
Just bring all of these.
Talk at you later.
All right, talk to you guys later.
Peace.
Have a good one.
Peace.
Nice.
Okay.
So now that we got rid of the Cylon out of the mix, we knew who the real traitor was. We've got to get this thing back to Earth, man.
Or so we think.
Awesome. So strategies for me, like in these hidden role games, I like to like trick myself. Like if I'm the bad guy, I like to trick myself into thinking that I'm like the good guy. Is that like weird? Like I always think, I'm sorry. I'm trying to actually move you around on the podcast
so that I'm not 8 people.
Yeah. You're Rob for just a second there, but you're not a Cylon.
It's okay.
But yeah. So I like try to be like, okay, like I am a good guy. I need to do good things, and then like trick myself into thinking that way and start talking that way and be like, dude, we gotta do this, we gotta make this stuff happen. And in Shadows over Camelot, it's like, yes, I take life damage because we can't put down more siege engines, we can't draw more black cards, like emphasize the terrible things that will happen if bad things happen and make sure everybody knows that we need good things to happen, not bad things. We need to find out who the spy is, we need to find those werewolves when it's actually me all along.
Yeah, like I don't really have any specific strategies for games. I just kind of come into it and see how everybody else is playing, and then adapt to like that, because it's all a lot of times hidden role games are also all about like social deduction, where it's like you need to figure out who at the table is the shadiest among you. Like, who's the guy who just seems a little off-kilter? Like, is it, like, the guy who's all smiles over there, like Rob just pretty much said he is? Or is it, like, you know, the person who's just kind of quiet? I mean, the thing I really like about him is, like, you can employ so many different strategies, like, all the time. Like, typically when we play Battlestar Galactica, we always kind of slow play it, so that we're not like, oh, we're ousted. Yeah. You know, we're a Cylon. Now we got to go to the resurrection ship and hang out there for the rest of the game.
Super Crisis all over you all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. But, like, I was playing a game with some friends on Tabletop Sim probably about a month ago. And it was, like, third mission. Somebody just came out and was like, nope. And, like, so we just started failing stuff. And, like, the thing was, we narrowed it down based on who the cards were to 2 people. And I'm just sitting there and I was like, oh, God. And then so one of the people, it was a husband and wife. And so the husband was, he's one of those people who's kind of like Ryan, where he's just like, nah, man, I'm not evil.
Yeah.
And then just makes like weird faces for the rest of the game. And you're like, what are you doing?
That's like what Rob was talking about, where it's like, they're good, but they're just a little bit shady. So, man, we're not going to survive if you don't give us 100%, and you're giving us like 45% right now. So we really need a lot more from you if you're actually good.
And it was one of those things. Like it came out, it ended up being like his wife. It was the Cylon. So we like kicked her off. So we ended up putting her in jail, and then she exposed herself and took off to the resurrection ship there. But still, I think we were only like 2 or 3 jumps in, and we're like, this is gonna be rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be real hard.
But it's just, I don't know. It's always fun because you can just do so many different things, and you don't always have to play the same way.
Yeah, I think the thing about it too is like I'm always like, I don't know if you want to say like the alpha gamer or whatever, but like the guy who's like always very aggressive and talking a lot about what's going on in the game, since like most of these guys are all my friends most of the time. Or like even when I'm playing with random people, I'm like, hey guys, this is what we need to do. And since in previous games, like especially if it's like a short game like Resistance or Werewolf, like I can't just change up my style to now be the quiet guy if I'm a werewolf and be sneaky. I have to play the exact same role I've been playing the whole time. Like you play the whole game like quiet most of the time, so you have like a different set of ways you can play, seeing that you're a little bit more quieter when you're doing these things, so that you can be a little bit more sneaky, or just like not even say anything sometimes. Yeah. If I don't say anything, I'm axed. I'm gone. Because when I was a seer, I was calling everybody out. When I was the insomniac, I knew who I was, and when I'm doing all these different things, I'm very loud. So it's like when I'm a werewolf, I have to be the same way.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess that's one of those things that's okay, because you've kind of forced yourself into that role, and so it's one of those things where it's like you know that you have the ability to do that, and I feel this way. Like, some of us don't talk that much, and I think it's because some of us don't think as well on our feet as you might. So it might be one of those things that, like, I've noticed it happens a couple of times when we play One Night Ultimate Werewolf. You'll catch somebody and they'll be like, I mean, I was a villager.
Well, a lot of times
I was the drunk.
A lot of times people will call me out on my bull crap or whatever, like when I'm the werewolf and being all loud, and then I'll just start throwing crazy out. So they're like, he's too far gone. He's got to be the Tanner, so they just don't kill me out of Tanner hope. So they're like, he's got to be the Tanner now because he claimed that different people were 3 different things. He's not that dumb. And I'm like, oh, I already screwed up, so I just gotta go with what I got.
That's pretty good.
And it worked. It's worked. It totally worked before. So,
oh man,
tons of fun.
That's good.
Nice. So, what is your favorite hidden role game, Matt? It's hard to answer this just because, like, how do you compare One Night Ultimate Werewolf that takes 10 minutes to Battlestar Galactica that takes 4 hours or 6 hours? Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of party games, One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Yeah.
In terms of those short little things where you can just bang out a bunch of games, and it's like, it's just good for a big group. But if you want to sit down with a core group of people, I would probably say it's got to be either Battlestar Galactica or Dead of Winter.
Yeah.
So I'll say Battlestar Galactica, and I'll give Rob the honorable mention of him probably saying Dead of Winter.
Right. I'm gonna have to second Battlestar Galactica just because, like, we've talked about it before, like the history of how that game got me into modern board gaming and how it like really opened my eyes to what these games could be, how they could be more complex and like these team things, but you don't know whose team you're on, but it's still like kind of cooperative. Like, it's got a lot of different things in the game. So I think it's really amazing. A game that I meant to talk about is a new hidden roles game that just came out, is Spyfall. It's the one that we played that was a print and play. And we played it like a bunch of different times back when this group just started. And it was pretty fun. Basically, Spyfall is a hidden role game where one player is the spy and they don't know where everybody else is. Each other person gets a location card, and it could be something like the beach or like a chapel or like you're at a bank or you're at a business party. And
you're in space.
Or you're in space. And then the way the game works is people take turns asking another person a question. And if you just got asked a question, you get to ask someone else a question. So basically you just ping pong back and forth asking questions of people. And you're trying to use these questions to deduce whether or not the person knows where you guys actually are. So basically, like, if you're all at the beach, you'd be like, so, what are you doing here today? Or something like that. And they have to try to come up with something to answer that doesn't give it away, because the spy wins the game if they stop the game and guess correctly what location you're at. But they lose the game if we figure out who the spy is. Each player gets one chance to nominate someone else to be the spy, and as long as everybody else is unanimous, then that person, if they're the spy, they're eliminated from the game. If that person is not the spy, then the spy actually wins. So it's very interesting because, like, if you suspect a specific person, you can just keep like trying to get people to ask that person questions to see if you can trip them up.
I think the thing that's really interesting about that game is it's a very different premise from like a lot of the other hidden roles games, in that you're not like implicitly trying to sabotage anything, you're not trying to destroy stuff, you're not trying to just murder anybody. It's just like, hey, find this out, find that out.
I think it's
just more social deduction and like interaction between people.
It's also very cool, like the way it's very open. Like, you can ask whatever question you want, really. But like, if you ask the wrong question, you could be outed as the spy. Or if you give the wrong answer, you could be outed as a spy. Because as the spy, you don't know what the right answer is because you don't know exactly where you are. Like, once we all knew we were at the beach, and we've been asking questions back and forth. And
the spy even knew we were at the beach.
Yeah, the spy realized we were at the beach, and so that's another thing is once you're the spy and you think you know where you are, you can start answering questions the right way to try to get people to think that you actually are one of them, just to try to watch more questions be asked before you actually jump in and say, "Oh, we're actually at this location." We had our friend Ryan. We all knew we were at the beach. We were pretty sure Ryan was good, and then Ryan's like, "Hey, man, do you have a gun?" And we're like, what? What is that? What does that have to do with the beach? And we're like, nominate to kill Ryan, and everybody's like, yes, because the spy is always like, yes, anybody who's not me, let's kill him. So we're like, dude, what'd you ask? He's like, dude, I wasn't thinking. I was like, why would you have a gun at the beach? He's like, I was trying to trick him, and I'm like, well, the game doesn't work like that. So
I don't know. It's super goofy, and like when we played, we only played with like 15 of like the prospective 30 different locations.
Yeah, and I'm sure that changes the game up a lot, like the dynamics of the game. But we also we're super new to the game as well too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really stoked about getting the full copy of it hopefully soon. It just came out at Origins, so that was like the beginning of this month. So it just got released like an actual.
Oh, so we played like beta copy, quote unquote.
Actually, it was released. I forget which country it's from, but it was released in like Europe, because it's a European game, and then publisher Cryptozoic picked it up here and is now publishing an English version of the game.
Okay.
So,
but there were two things that when we were playing that I thought were really neat. Like we didn't even play with everybody had like different roles and stuff too, and we didn't even play with those. So like you could be at the beach and you could like it could be like you're a beachgoer or you're a lifeguard or you're like a boat captain or like all that other stuff, so that you have to think about like answering in that dynamic. Mm-hmm. And so there's different ways that you can continue to make this game more replayable.
Yeah, and you're supposed to use that depending on the number of players you have. Like if you're playing with a smaller group of players, and I'm not even sure the actual like full rules of the game because I just had the print and play. But but like with the lower number of players, like if you're playing with like 4 or 5, you're supposed to use those specific roles. But once you go up to like 6, 7, 8 and stuff like that, you don't have to use those because it's a little bit easier for the spy to hide. But it's supposed to make it so that they have to answer in a specific way, which might make it easier for the spy to not be just found out. Because if there's 4 people, the spy's, for one, going to get asked a lot more questions just because there's only 4 people, as opposed to being 8 people. You also have a certain amount of time, and after the time is up, then the game ends, and the spy has a chance to guess, and they can win and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
But yeah. So our last question is, do you have a story about a crazy betrayal in a hidden role game? I can go ahead and start. I was playing Battlestar Galactica at my RoyCon game day event. We had like a 3-day thing where I had a bunch of my friends come over and we played games, but we had set up like we were going to play this epic game of Battlestar Galactica. And we played, I think, 6 players. And near the beginning of the game, we had like outed someone as a Cylon, and the rest of us were working really hard to like keep the ship afloat, and we were doing good. But there was a point where we just had like a base star had come in, and there was just ships everywhere, and we were where we could jump the fleet. So in Battlestar Galactica, you're trying to jump the fleet a certain number of times to get to Earth. Once you get like 10 points or 8 points or whatever it is, you can win the game. But we're trying to jump the fleet because once you jump, it gets rid of all these ships and stuff. Well, one of the characters wouldn't be able to, like, we need to like repair the FTL drive and like jump or something like that. And we didn't have the correct card. The current player didn't have the correct cards. I was like, hey man, give Nate an executive order. He has the repair cards. He can do the stuff. He can make it happen. And
oh, good.
And so my friend David was like, okay, we'll executive order Nate, and he can jump us out of here. We'll be good to go, and we'll get away from all these terrible ships. So he gave Nate the executive order, and Nate said, well, the first thing I'm going to do is reveal myself as a Cylon. And David's immediately like, can you do that on executive order? And I'm like, well, you gave him an action, So he then had like 2 actions, so he could like reveal himself and do some like terrible stuff.
Oh yeah.
So basically, he ended up putting like, when he revealed himself, his thing put even more ships on the board. So like we were just surrounded, we were getting blasted by like 2 base stars, and needless to say, I completely trusted Nate. Like, I was like giving him an executive order. We're good. He's been helping us the whole time. I trusted him 100%. And at the opportune moment, he stabbed us all in the back and sunk Galactica. So that's my epic story. And
yeah, man.
We had different trophies during that thing, and I had a specific trophy made for the traitor, because I figured there was going to be some betrayal going on during this game thing, and for doing that, he ended up getting the traitor trophy, which actually said the traitor on it from RoyCon 2012 or whatever it was.
Dude, those XOs, you have to watch out. They can be good or they can be awful.
Yeah.
They're rough. But I think my the thing I keep thinking about isn't specifically a betrayal, but
just something crazy that happened.
I keep thinking about the lighthouse from Dead of Winter.
Oh yeah.
That card is ridiculous, but I think it would probably have to be also Battlestar Galactica. I was playing with some friends on Tabletop Sim, and we got to, I think we were at 7 out of 8 jumps, and our admiral was the Cylon, and he hadn't revealed himself the entire time. So we're about to jump, and he just is like, "Hang on, whoa, why did you do that?" And it was like we ended up failing something, probably almost entirely because of the Destiny deck, and he was like, no. And he convinced the other guy I was playing with, because I think we were only playing like 3 or 4 people. So he convinced everybody else that like I was the Cylon. And I was like, no, guys, seriously, this is a bad move. And so he throws me in jail. And then... Okay, so I was the president, so I still had things, but I couldn't get out of jail. Like, I couldn't just will myself out of jail. I was like, no! And then we end up drawing a crisis card. A fleet warps in. We're like, oh, this is bad. And I'm just sitting in jail, and I'm like, guys, somebody get me out of here. We gotta do this. And they wouldn't let me out, and then everybody, except for our admiral, jumps out in the ships, and they're all sitting around fighting the Cylons and stuff. And then our admiral just starts messing with like everything. So he's just like, okay, so I'm gonna take the gun here, and I'm gonna target the little ship. Like, he was like targeting the Raiders instead of the base star with like Galactica's guns, and we're like, what are you doing? And so he just kept like that
being
entire
very
fight.
inefficient.
Yeah. Like that entire fight, he just kept messing everything up, and then both people got knocked out and sent to medbay, and then he's just like, okay guys, well since the ship's on fire and you guys are in medbay, I'm a Cylon, so have fun with that. And just like flies away, and we're just like, no. Because it was just, there was more to it, but he played it so well. Like he essentially just made it to where he was the only person on the ship who could do anything, and was just like, I'm just gonna light the fires.
I've totally haven't had a game like that where I was a Cylon, and me and another person were both Cylons, and I figured out he was a Cylon as well. And we got to a point where we were just running around throwing all the humans into the brig. And like, when all the humans are in the brig, and we're both Cylons, but we're not going to reveal, because like we can continue to get cards and just throw people back in the brig again.
Yeah.
Like it was real bad. Like the Cylons were running Galactica. We didn't even need to reveal. It was terrible.
It's rough.
So
there was another game. Same guy. He was president. I was admiral, and he ends up throwing me in jail. And then takes my admiralty, and I'm like, guys, anybody gonna think this guy's evil? He has all the power now.
Was it the president and the admiral?
Yeah, I was just like, what is going on? Because like everybody had picked. I think this might have been like the first time we played with some new people, so they all kind of picked people who were like lower on like the scale rank.
Yeah.
So, and it was just like, I was so grumpy. And he turned out not to be the Cylon. He just wanted all the power. I was like, come on! What are you doing?
Nice.
I don't know. It's goofy.
Awesome. So that was Hidden Roll Games. So we actually have a question from last week. If anybody has any questions they want to ask the podcast, feel free to email us at epicgamingnight@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on any of our Twitter, Instagram, or anything like that, and we'll answer your questions on the podcast. So Josh Gustin, I don't know how to pronounce that exactly, on Instagram asked us, what color do you normally play in games? So for me, it has to be green. Like, I always play like green pieces, like if I have a chance. Unless I'm playing a game where like the specific races kind of like need the specific colors, then I'll just kind of go like that so that they fit better. But I always grab the green pieces just because it's my favorite color.
I always play orange if available, but I find that orange isn't like one of the common colors that gets included with things. Because it's not really a core color, quote unquote. Right. So if that's not available, I'll try to play like yellow or black or purple.
Yeah, I always like, if they don't have green, I'm always going for like white or black or something like that, like the monochrome colors.
Yeah.
So, just because I think they're cool. Because normally they're not necessarily in games as often too, so I'm like, hey, these are awesome. Awesome. So I guess that's pretty much been a podcast, guys. Everybody make sure to check out our streams. We stream the podcast live every Tuesday on Twitch at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we play board games every Friday from 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We play all sorts of things, everything you see behind me on the shelf here. If you can't see, there's a couple board games back there. But yeah, that is www.twitch.tv/Epic Gaming Night. So make sure to check us out there. Check us out on our Instagram, where we're posting tons of pictures of the board games we're playing and all sorts of things like that. Information on the podcast. And Twitter, and make sure to hit us up on iTunes. That's pretty much all I got.
If you happen to be in the Walt Disney World area and see Rob, give him a shout out.
And accuse him of being the Cylon, because if he didn't sound like a Cylon, I don't know who does.
Absolutely.
Totally threw that guy out the airlock. He's gonna listen to this and be like, those guys, they betrayed me.
It's okay. It should make his ride home entertaining.
It's very thematic for this episode.
Yeah. It worked out. It was very apropos.
Nice. But yeah, guys, next week we're trying to get like designers and publishers on. So we're gonna be having Isaac Vega from Plaid Hats. He's the co-designer of Dead of Winter, and he's done Ashes is one of his games that's just coming out, and he has a bunch of other games that are really great. So make sure to check us out then. We'll be interviewing him about game design and how he comes up with these crazy thematic board games.
Yeah. And since Rob's not here, I'll be hyped for him and just be like, woo!
Yeah.
I do all the things that Rob would do. So
he's definitely a fan.
Very much so.
But yeah, guys, check us out next week.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see you guys later.
Have a good one.
Peace.